Alright, hi. U.S. Department of Homeland Security, United States Coast Guard, Transportation of Freight Manual, COMDTINST, M4610.5A. Intentionally left blank. Alright, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, United States Coast Guard, Commandment of the U.S. United States Coast Guard, 2100 2nd Street, Southwest, Washington, D.C., 205930001. Staff symbol CG441. Phone number 202-261-0640. Fax number 202-261-267-4516. Command instruction for M4610. 5A, September 9, 2005. Command instruction of the M46105A. Subject, transportation of freight. Purpose of the manual promulgates the Coast Guard policy procedure for the management of freight involving the use of commercial government resources and services and assets. The action. Areas District Commanders of the Maintenance and Logistic Commands, the MLC, Commandment Officers of Headquarters, Assistant Commands of the Directors, Judge Advocate General, Special Staff Officers of Headquarters, and shall ensure compliance with the provisions of this manual. Internet release authorized. Directive effective. Transportation Freight Command instruction M64105. Canceled. Discussion. This manual completes the revision transportation freight of instruction M46105 and includes the transportation freight policy procedure but for both offshore and float units. Please direct any other comments recommended any changes of writing via the chain of the commandment of the CG441 U.S. Coast Guard 2100 2nd Street, Southwest room 62616, DC 205930001. Major change in publication revision of the Coast Guard maximum e-business practice Department of Defense shipper system transportation contact supervision or services recently devised the Defense of Transportation Regulations Department of Defense 4500.9R Part 2, which governs the transportation policy procedure for shipment of the Department of Defense service contracts, significantly impacted when the Coast Guard Transportation of Freight program retires the U.S. government bill landing of all shipments moved with the condition of the United States has also impacted the transition policy and procedure of the revised manual addresses several new policies issues as well as several changes to overall transportation management. Major transportation of freight policy procedures issues are as follows. Freight routing, billing, landing, and the methods and new methods, carrier service and payment methods of manual procedure. It's Coast Guard policies and the restrictions with the procurement of the request for the government purchase credit cards and convenience checks for obtaining and paying of the transportation freight service in Chapter 2. Custom clearance requirements, new information documented to ensure the timely cost and clearance with the Coast Guard owned as assets commercial transportation pipeline improved in Chapter 3. Small parasols involve information using the Department of Defense blanket purchase agreements or worldwide express contact with the shipping small parasols to international points are addressed in Chapter 2 and 3. Hazardous material information, Department of Transportation Security Plan, requirements for shipper hazmat material, new training requirements for the hazmat employees and provided in Chapter 4. Security confident and sensitive materials, new requirements to how to protect the movement of the secret, confidential, sensitive materials are in Chapter 5, provided in Chapter 5. Freight building and landing, no procedure and process obtaining the freight and bills and landing are included in Chapter 7. List of the freight bills and landing of the process sites are found in Appendix E. Transportation service providers liability policy governing release of the Coast Guard as assets commercial of the transportation service providers actual visual value in Chapter 6. Shipping and receiving procedures, items, and checklists are found in Chapter 8. Transportation discrepancy report, new guidance and responsibility reporting transportation discrepancy in Chapter 9. Electronic transportation payment system, information on the automated transportation payment, the certification system found in Chapter 7 and Appendix C. Environmental aspects, impact consideration. Environmental considerations were examined and incorporated. Forms reference to the manual can be found in enclosure and information of the obtained. The Department of Defense can also be found with the Department of Defense program website at dtic.mil/WHS/directive/info management/forms program HTML DG Gable Rear Admiral U.S. Coast Guard Assistant Command and Engineering and Logistics. Table of Contents, Freight Transportation Management and Policy and Responsibility. Purpose, scope of applicability, primary governing and regulation, publication, general bodies, primary transportation management, support, transportation officer, transportation agents, duties and responsibility of transportation officers and transportation agents, cautionary notes of extra freight routing, authority moving classified and CCI, sensitive hazardous material, transportation security incidents, transportation security plan, examples of appointment letter, chapter 2, cargo routing and movement, A, general, B, traffic management policy, C, shipping billing methods, transportation U.S. government-owned policy, government purchasing, credit cards and convenience fee checks, the freight routing and the billing and landing methods, general cargo routing criteria, preparation, description, consolidated freight exportation, shipment, emergency routing authority, deviation, normal routing, normal national emergency, undeliverable shipments, government-owned transportation assets, demurrage, detention, storage, diversion, reconsignment, retracing and tracking, expedition service, exclusive uses, transit times, permits, oversized, overweight, or major motor shipments, usually. Report of TSP equipment, loading and unloading equipment, lifting and tie-down procedures, determining cargo weight using weight agreements, relocation activities, Chapter 3, special requirements, international commercial shipment, export and import, and defensive transportation system shipments. Purpose, scopes, responsibility, custom requirements, type of the shipping, procurement, documentation, freight, forwards, custom brokers, mandatory air clients of the Department of Defense, airlift shipments, using billing, landing, and points of embarkment, or PO, overseas points. Use of postal service shipments, small parcel express shipments, Department of Homeland Express package contract, shipping origination from overseas location, transportation accounts, codes. Chapter 4, hazardous material, general, security plan, governing regulation, publication, responsibility, regulatory requirement, training, routing, providing assistance with the transportation service provider, motor movement, license requirements, air, water, rail movement requirements, accident, incident, delay, emergency response, information, forms, exhibits 1 through 5, exhibits 1 through 5, sample containing packaging certificate, vehicle declaration, example of the hazmat certificate, appointment letter, bill of housing, hazmat bill of landing, the Department of Form 626 motor vehicle inspection, 836 and 836 back instruction, continued 836C. Chapter 5, movement is sensitive, conventional, A and E, classified, secret, confidential, and CCI, sensitive items. General transportation, protective services, determination, requesting, routing, consolidation, classified, unclassified material, reporting of shipment, rep ship, transit, custody of, record and keeping requirements, bill of landing, movement of classified shipments, GSA, Department of Defense contracting carrier, small shipments, the arms, ammunition, explosive security plan, training, figure F1, figure 5.1 and 5.2, example, the Fed log management data response and reportment of shipment, information format requirements, Chapter 6, transportation service provider liability, purpose, scope, responsibility, limited liability, excessive declared validation, and use of excessive declared valuation, approval of the funds manager, and an excessive declared valuation documentation requirement. Freight bills and landing, small package forms, general purpose of the landing, electronic commercial bill landing of the U.S. government building landing, statement, standard form 1103, straight bill landing, accountability, issuance of billing and landing, bill landing, correction notice, the issuance of billing and landing, non-coasting guard, funding shipments at CONUS, Coast Guard activities, procedures of procedure of Coast Guard billing and landing as supporting centers, commercial transportation uniforms, and small package shipments, domestic small package express carriers, figures exhibits 7.1 through 7.4, shipments as a request, completed shipment sample of completed billing and landing, sample clearance of a U.S. government billing landing, sample of commercial billing landing, correction notice, Chapter 8, shipping and receiving procedures, purpose, scope, shipping guidelines, receiving procedure, clearing data, receipt, delivery, receipt, concealed damage, acceptance, rejection, goods, unidentified freight, and wrong consignee attacks, actions taking after delivery, overage, storage of classified sensitive, shipping checklist, receiving checklist. Chapter 9, Transportation Discrepancy Report, Purpose, Transportation Discrepancy, Standard Form 361, Transportation Discrepancy Report, Claims and Actions, using Power Track, identifying potential loss, damage, and astray cargo, E-Government Cargo Recovery Effort, or GoCare Program. Appendix A, abbreviations. Appendix B, resource list. Appendix C, background, commercial building landings, per hour track definitions. Appendix D, Appendix C, bill landing sites. Enclosure 1, list of forms. Chapter 1, freight transportation management policy and responsibility.